Why are you making us pay rent? My sister snorted. This is the family beach house. I'd inherited it. They'd been vacationing there every summer for free. I said evenly, because I cover the taxes. $31,000 a year. Dad sneered. So what? We're family. I agreed. The next morning, I listed it on Airbnb. $850 per night. It filled in 4 hours. When my sister arrived with her suitcases in July, it was the kind of laughter that chills you to the bone, not because it's menacing, but because it's so utterly devoid of understanding. My sister, Brooke, stood there on the sun-drenched gravel, arms crossed, a mocking smirk on her face, demanding to know, "Why are you charging us rent?" The salty air hung heavy, thick with the smell of distant tides and blooming oleander, a sharp contrast to the acid rising in my throat. Seagulls squawked overhead, wheeling against a sky so impossibly blue it almost hurt to look. But right there on the weathered porch steps, a storm was brewing, quiet but devastating, and my 8-year-old son Leo was about to be caught right in the middle of it. "This is the family beach house," Brooke added, as if I'd forgotten some fundamental truth. Her kids were already sprinting up the ramp with their boogie boards, their excited shouts echoing across the dunes. My son Leo stood beside me, a little rolling suitcase with faded airplane stickers clutched in his small hand. He looked between me and his aunt, wide-eyed, like he'd walked into the middle of a movie scene he couldn't quite follow. He didn't understand, not yet. My dad, Arthur, snorted from behind Brooke. "Yeah, we're family. We don't pay rent here." He said it with such finality, as if his words were law, as if we hadn't just had this exact conversation a few weeks prior. I still had the property tax bill open on my phone, the numbers searing themselves into my mind. $31,284 due this year. My name, Ryan, blazed at the top, my grandmother's name crossed out beneath it. "Because I pay the taxes," I said, my voice coming out quieter than I intended. So I repeated it a little louder, a little firmer. "I pay the taxes. $31,000 a year." Dad waved a dismissive hand. "So what? You've got pilot money. Meanwhile, your sister's raising 3 kids on 1 income. You really want a nickel and dime family over a beach week." There it was, laid bare in one perfect, venomous sentence. Everything they thought I was, everything they believed I owed them. My sister, Brooke, a triumphant grin spreading across her face, called out over her shoulder, "You hear that, guys? Your Uncle Ryan wants to charge us rent to come to Grandma's beach house." One of her boys, Jake, ran past Leo, sing-songing, "Uncle Ryan's greedy." They all laughed. Leo didn't. He pressed closer to my side, his small fingers finding the inside seam of my shorts pocket, a nervous habit from when he was much younger. He stared at the ground, at his sneakers half buried in the sand, his ears turning a telltale red. I felt my hands start to shake around my phone. 1,000 thoughts screamed in my head. It's not Grandma's beach house anymore. It's mine. I was the one here when the roof leaked, when the insurance lapsed, when the pipes burst in February. Pilot money doesn't come from magic. It comes from leaving my kid for 4-day trips, so you can drink wine on my deck. But I swallowed it all, every burning word. I just nodded once, a tight, grim nod, and said nothing. I watched my son absorb that moment, watched him file it away in whatever quiet, painful place he keeps things that hurt him. I'm Ryan, 39, a commercial pilot based out of Charlotte. I fly domestic, mostly red ice to the West Coast, early mornings to Chicago, the occasional Florida run. My wife, Chloe, teaches 4th grade. Our son, Leo, is 8, soft-spoken, reads chapter books way too advanced for him, loves tide pools, and builds tiny airports out of Legos. We live in a very normal townhouse, 2 hours inland. The beach house? That's not normal. It sits on a skinny strip of Barrier Island in South Carolina, the kind of place realtors call charming and lifestyle websites call up and coming. My grandparents bought it when it was just a weather-beaten shack with green shutters and a sagging dock. Over the years, they added a bedroom, a second bathroom, a covered porch. It's not a mansion, but it's oceanfront. For bedrooms, a wraparound deck, private walk to the sand. It was the backdrop of my entire childhood. When my grandmother, Eleanor, died 4 years ago, everyone assumed she'd split it fairly. "She'll leave it to all of us," my dad Arthur always said, shrugging. "Family place stays in the family." Except the will didn't say that. It said in very plain language that the house went to me. Only me. Grandma had left letters for everyone. Mine was one paragraph, written in shaky blue ink. "You were the only one who came when the heat stopped working. You never asked for gas money. You never complained when I called. You'll take care of it, or you'll let it go. Either way, I trust you." I cried over that letter in the front seat of my car for a solid 10 minutes. No one else cried. They were too busy being angry. My sister, Brooke, called me the next day. "It should have been split," she said, equally. That's what she said she wanted. I reminded her grandma had also said repeatedly, "I don't want you renting it out all summer." Brooke snapped, and she also said she didn't want to be in a nursing home. Look how that turned out. My parents were more subtle at first. Little comments. "Your grandmother would have wanted everyone to enjoy it. It's a family asset. We'll help you out with the taxes." They never did. Every year since. That beach house has cost me more than it's ever given back. The taxes, the flood insurance, wind insurance, every new special assessment the county dreamed up. When the roof finally failed, that was $18,000. The AC died the next summer, another $7,500. The dock needed new pilings. The stairs to the beach had to be replaced after a storm. You know who was there the day the contractor pointed at the rotted wood and said, "Yeah, you're not safe on that." Me. Alone. On a day between trips when I should have been home with my kid. Brooke was too busy wrangling her kids. My parents were keeping an eye on things from their condo 3 hours inland, which meant they watched the Weather Channel and called to tell me about storms I'd already flown over. Still, every June, they circled the calendar like sharks. Brooke's family took the week of July 4th. My parents liked late August. Sometimes my brother, Daniel, who lives out west, flew in for a long weekend. Cousins borrowed it just for a couple nights. Distant relatives I barely knew somehow ended up with the keys. They called it the family beach house. What they meant was Ryan's beach house that he pays for and we use. I was the one who paid the water and power every month, even when no one was there. I was the one who sent the check when the HOA decided the dunes needed emergency restoration. I was the one who spent my days off calling plumbers and cleaners instead of building sandcastles with my kid. And somehow, Leo was always the afterthought. When we came down with them, he didn't get a bedroom. Brooke's kids each had their own. They're older. They need space. My parents took the primary. Leo got the pull-out couch in the living room. Or, if we were lucky, the little twin bed in the utility room that smelled like detergent and old paint. His drawings of the house stayed taped to the fridge until the next round of guests decided the surface was better used for grocery lists. His collection of shells got dumped into a decorative bowl for someone's Instagram shot. His name never made it onto the framed "Family Rules" chalkboard Brooke hung in the hall. She wrote out everyone's names in pastel chalk. Grandma, Grandpa, Brooke, Mark, Jake, Sam, Zoe. No Leo. No Ryan. When I pointed it out, she just laughed. "Oh, don't be weird. It's just a sign." I kept telling myself it was fine. It was temporary. Leo was little. He wouldn't notice. I was wrong. The rent conversation happened in May. We'd driven down for the weekend to open the place up, get the AC going, bleach the mildew off the deck furniture, air out the mattresses. My parents and Brooke decided to help, which in their language meant sit on the porch and supervise while I moved things. I'd just taped the new tax bill to the fridge, so I wouldn't forget to schedule the payment when Brooke spotted it. 31 grand, she whistled. Damn, Pilot money really can do anything. Leo was sitting at the table, quietly building a runway out of Jenga blocks. It doesn't do it by itself, I said, wiping sweat from my brow. I'm gone 12 to 15 nights a month. Dad sniffed. You chose that. You like flying. You were always selfish with your time. There was that word again. Selfish. I hadn't planned to say anything. I really hadn't. But standing there, sweaty and tired, looking at my dad's beer sweating on the table I bought, and the tax bill with my name on it, and my son drooping with jet lag because he'd insisted on coming down with me, it all just clicked. I can't keep doing this for free, I said. The conversation stopped dead. Even the little portable speaker Brooke had brought seemed to go quiet. What? She finally managed. I can't keep paying for everything while everyone uses it like it's a free resort. I need help this year. I kept my tone even measured. If you want a whole week in July, it's going to be $1,500. That barely dents the taxes, but it's something. Brooke barked out a laugh. You're serious? Yes. Why are you charging us rent? She demanded, louder now, already performing for her audience. This is the family beach house. Dad leaned back in his chair, disgusted. You ungrateful son. Your grandmother left you this place, and now you want to squeeze your own family. I opened my mouth, closed it again. On the other side of the table, Leo's hands had gone still on his pretend runway. We paid for flights last summer, Brooke added, like she was presenting damning evidence in court. Those tickets weren't cheap. I stared at her. You used my buddy passes. You flew 4 people round trip for $68 each. You Venmo'd me for the airport parking. She rolled her eyes. Same thing. Leo, very quietly slid one of his Jenga planes off the table and onto his lap. He was doing that thing where he pretended to be invisible. I caught his eye. He looked away fast. I felt something in my chest twist. Look, I said, I'm not asking you to cover everything. I'm just done being the only one who pays. You're doing fine. Dad snapped. You just bought a new car. The old one had 210,000 miles on it. I shot back, the words coming out sharper than I intended. Some of us don't get to upgrade every time we feel like it. Chloe would tell you I'm usually calm. Flying does that to you. You can't afford to be reactive at 35,000 feet when you hit turbulence. But in that moment, with my father calling me ungrateful in a house that only existed because I kept writing checks, with my sister laughing like I was telling a joke, with my son sitting there absorbing the idea that his dad was greedy, I felt the anger shake through my hands. I still didn't yell. I just nodded once, the way I sometimes nod at ATC when they tell me about a hold I don't like, but have to accept. Okay, I said. Brooke smirked like she'd won. Leo's Jenga block slid off his lap and hit the floor with a tiny clatter. That night, back at the townhouse, I tucked him into bed. Are we poor? He asked suddenly. I blinked. What? No, Bud. Why would you think that? Because Aunt Brooke said you need money from them now, he said. She said it in the car when Grandma Eleanor was on the phone. She said, I guess Pilot Ryan isn't as rich as he wants us to think. My throat got tight. We're not poor, I said, my voice thick. But I've been paying for a lot of things for a long time, and it's not fair that other people get to enjoy them and make fun of us at the same time. His eyes were shiny in the dim light. Is it my fault? 'Cause I broke the screen door last summer. Oh, there it was. The thing he'd been carrying that whole time. I sat down on the edge of his bed. Hey, I said, none of this is your fault. Not the door, not the money, not anything. Do you understand that? He nodded, but you know how kids nod just to end the conversation. Like, sure, Dad, if that's what helps you sleep. After he drifted off, I sat at the kitchen table with the tax bill and my laptop. The dishwasher hummed, and Chloe graded spelling tests. Do you really want to charge them? She asked gently. You know how your dad gets. I asked for $1,500, I said. They laughed at me in front of him. I jerked my chin toward Leo's room. They told him I'm greedy. She sighed. So what now? Now apparently was the line. The next morning, I listed the beach house on Airbnb. It felt weirdly simple. I already had photos from the last time we repainted. I wrote out the description like I wasn't emotionally attached to the place at all. 4-bedroom, oceanfront cottage, sleeps 10, private beach access. Pilot owned, lovingly maintained. I set the nightly rate at $850 for summer weeks. It wasn't the highest in the neighborhood, but it wasn't charity either. I blocked off 1 week in June and 1 in September for us. Just us. No grandparents, no cousins, just my tiny little nuclear family. Then I clicked publish. A confirmation screen popped up. Your listing is live. For hours later, my phone buzzed. New booking request, 7 nights, July 3rd to 10th. Payout estimate, $5,698. I stared at the numbers for a long time. That was more than my parents had ever offered to help with anything. That was Leo's entire after-school program for the year. That was almost a semester of tuition at the aviation camp he'd been begging to go to. I accepted the booking. Then I opened the family group chat and typed one message. Me. Just a heads up, I've listed the house on Airbnb for the summer to help cover costs. If you want to stay, you'll need to book through the site like everyone else. I blocked off a week in June and September for me, Chloe and Leo. Those are the only free weeks. I watched the typing bubble appear and disappear. Brooke went first. Brooke, you're joking. Then Mom. Eleanor, Ryan, Dad, are you out of your mind? I put the phone face down and went to make Leo a grilled cheese. We ate on the couch, watching some cartoon about talking cars. My phone buzzed on the counter. I didn't pick it up until Leo was in the bath. Brooke, we've been vacationing there every year for free since before you were even paying the taxes. This is so messed up. Eleanor, your grandmother wanted that house to be for family memories, not strangers. Arthur, take that listing down. We already told the kids about 4th of July. Brooke, yeah, I already requested time off, booked Mark's vacation, bought swimsuits. You owe us some notice at least. I typed, erased, retyped. Then I sent this. Me, I'm not your backup bank. I can't keep paying $31,000 a year so everyone else can have a free beach house while my kid gets called greedy by association. The house is mine. The decision is mine. I'm done arguing. That was it. No threats, no ultimatums. I muted the thread. They showed up anyway. Of course they did. It was July 3rd, turnover day. Chloe stayed home because she had a mountain of lesson plans to prep. It was just me and Leo in the truck, heading down with fresh linens, a new grill brush, and a trunk full of bulk-bought toilet paper and paper towels for the guests. Do we get to stay this time? Leo asked from the back. Not this week, I said. The Millers are staying. Remember, the family with the little girl who likes space books? But we'll be here in September. Just us. He nodded, tracing the airplane stitched into his backpack strap. I saw the minivan before I even turned onto our street. Brooke's van, silver, dented, crammed with beach chairs strapped to the roof. My parents' sedan was right behind it. They were parked in front of the house like they owned the place. I felt my chest tighten. The Miller's rental car was in the driveway. All the blinds were open. I could see their kids running around inside, hyped up on sugar and ocean air, unaware of the incoming hurricane in human form. Hey, Bud, I said, when we get there, I need you to stick close to me, okay? He frowned. Why? Because I said so. It wasn't my best parenting moment. We pulled in behind my parents' car. Brooke was already out of the van, hands on her hips, sunglasses pushed up on her head like a tiara. What, Ryan? She yelled before I even killed the engine. Leo flinched. I climbed out slowly. Hi, Brooke. Mom. Dad. Mom's face was pinched. Dad was red already, like he'd been pre-mad the entire drive. There are strangers in our house. Mom hissed, like I'd broken in and invited them without permission. They're not strangers, I said evenly. They're guests. They booked through Airbnb. I told you this. You were bluffing. Brooke snapped. You always bluff. Behind her, one of her boys, Jake, jumped out of the van. Where's my room? He shouted. I call the bunk bed upstairs. You don't have a room, Leo said quietly beside me. There's guests here. Brooke spun on him. See what you've done, she demanded at me, but her eyes were on my son. Now my kids don't get their vacation because your dad wants to play landlord. Something inside me snapped so fast, I actually heard the blood rush in my ears. Don't talk to him like that. I said. Dad stepped forward. Stop being dramatic. Just tell these people there was a mix-up. They can go to a hotel. We're family. The front door opened. Mr. Miller stepped out, looking confused and apologetic at the same time. He had on one of those sun hats that screams tourist. Is everything okay? He asked. His little girl, Kayla, peeked out from behind him, clutching a stuffed astronaut. I forced a smile. Hey there, Mr. Miller. Everything's fine. You're good to stay. Don't worry. This is just some family confusion. Brooke shot past me like she was going to march straight into the house. I stepped in front of her. Move, she hissed. No, I said. Dad barked a humorless laugh. You're really going to turn your own family away from their own house? He gestured at the porch. We've spent every summer here since before you even had a kid. Long before you started making airline money and acting like you're better than us. From the driveway, Brooke's oldest, Jake, shouted toward Leo. Nice going, dude. Because of your dad, we don't get the big room this year. Leo looked like someone had punched him. I can share, he stammered. You can have my bunk next time. I don't need. You won't get a next time if your dad keeps this up. Brooke cut in. Mr. Miller cleared his throat. Should we come back? We can go grab lunch in. You're fine. I said again, louder this time. You're staying. I'm sorry about the noise. Brooke stared at me like she didn't recognize me. You're choosing them over us? She demanded. I'm choosing my son, I said. Her eyes flicked to Leo, then back to me. She didn't get it. She never would. This is insane. Mom said, choked. Family doesn't charge family rent. Your grandmother would be. My grandmother, I said carefully, my voice laced with steel, left this house to me. If you want to know why, you can ask her. But you can't, because you left early every time she needed anything and said you were too tired to drive down. I didn't. I showed up, and I have been paying for it ever since. Dad's jaw clenched. You're heartless, he said. That's what you are. Heartless. Beside me, Leo's hand found mine. His palm was damp. I squeezed it. I am done paying for a family my kid isn't part of, I said quietly. You don't get to use this place for free while you call me greedy and make him feel like this. I nodded down at Leo. His eyes were bright, his face pale. Brooke's mouth opened. Closed. For the last time. I said, you need to leave now. Dad looked like he wanted to punch something. Brooke looked like she might cry. But her tears have always been for herself, never anyone else. Come on, she snapped at her kids. Apparently your uncle is too good for us now. They piled back into the van, slamming doors, kicking sand. As they pulled away, Jake rolled down the window and shouted, Hope your stupid Airbnb people like you better. Leo flinched like it was a physical blow. My parents lingered a second longer. You'll regret this, Mom said flatly. One day you'll be old and alone, and you'll wish you had family. I have a family, I said, my voice steady. He's standing right next to me. Dad muttered something about me thinking I'm some sort of big shot, then got in the car and drove off. The second their taillights disappeared, my shoulders dropped 2 inches. Mr. Miller shifted awkwardly on the porch. If this is a bad time, he began. It's not, I said. You're fine. Really, I'm so sorry. His little girl peeked around his leg at Leo. Hi, she said. I'm Kayla. Do you want to see the hermit crabs we found? Leo blinked, caught off guard. Then, slowly, he nodded. Yeah, okay. They ran off toward the side yard, voices already lighter. I carried in the linens. The fallout was immediate. My phone blew up as soon as I got back in the truck. Brooke, I can't believe you did that in front of my kids. Mom, we drove 3 hours for nothing. Dad, you are dead to me until you fix this. I didn't respond that day. When we got home, I told Chloe everything. Leo sat at the table, drawing quietly with his tongue between his teeth. They blamed me, he said, suddenly not looking up. For the house. No, I said. They blamed me. They always have. They're just louder about it now. He put down his pencil. Are we still going to the beach? He asked. His voice was small. In September, I said. Just us. No one else. He thought about that for a second. Can I have a real room? He asked. God, yeah, bud, I said, my voice thick with emotion. You can have whatever room you want. They didn't show up at our door in person. They used other people. My brother, Daniel, called from California. They're saying you kicked them out of their house, he said. Mom's been crying to everyone. I asked them to contribute 4 years' worth of taxes, I said. They never did. I asked them for $1,500 this year. They laughed in my kid's face. I'm done. He was quiet for a second. That doesn't sound like crying material, he said finally. That sounds like consequences. He didn't have the money to help me either, but at least he wasn't pretending he did. My Aunt Sarah texted. I heard there was drama with the beach house. For what it's worth, I always thought it was messed up that they treated it like theirs. Love you and Leo. I screenshotted that and saved it. Not to show anyone, just to remind myself I wasn't crazy. Mom left a long voicemail about breaking traditions and punishing the whole family over one misunderstanding. Not a single word about what had been said to Leo. Not one mention of his name. Brooke sent a novel about how I'd humiliated her, how her kids were heartbroken, how they looked forward to the beach all year, how children shouldn't be punished for adult problems. I typed out Leo is a child too about 20 times, then deleted it. I stayed quiet. I'd already drawn the line. I didn't need to defend it. September came faster than I expected. The Airbnb payouts hit my account like clockwork all summer. And after taxes and repairs, there was finally money left. I opened a $529 college account in Leo's name and set an automatic $500 transfer from the beach house income. Is that for my pilot school? He asked. If you want, I said, or art school or marine biology. It's your future. He nodded, serious. Can we still go to the house? We're going this weekend, I said. Just us. No group chat, no shared calendar. Just the 3 of us, a trunk of groceries, and a bag of library books. When we pulled up, the house looked the same and different. A stray flip-flop in the bushes, a new scratch on the porch railing, the same salt and sunscreen air. Inside, Leo ran upstairs and froze, like he was waiting to be assigned the couch. Pick a room, I said. Any room. He chose the big ocean view room that used to be my parents'. Can this be mine? Yes, I said. This can be yours. Will Grandma Eleanor be mad? It's your room, I said. No one else gets a say. We spent 3 days hunting shells, building sand runways, eating cereal on the deck while the sun went down. On the second night, Leo taped a drawing of the beach house above his bed. This time, with 3 stick figures on the deck, me, Chloe, him. I don't want the guests to take it down, he said. Then we'll do better, I said. We got it framed in town and hung it where Brooke's pastel family rules sign used to be. I like ours better, Leo said. So do I, Chloe said. That evening, we sat on the porch as the sky went purple. 2 empty Adirondack chairs stood at the far end, the ones my parents always claimed. They were empty now. For a second, I felt a tug of grief. Not for them, but for the version of family I chased, where my son was just as wanted, and I wasn't just a wallet with a pilot's license. Leo climbed into my lap. Dad, are we still family with them? We're related, I said, choosing my words carefully. But family is the people who make you feel safe, who are glad you're there, who don't make you feel small. So, like you and Mom, he asked. Yeah, me and Mom. Uncle Daniel, Aunt Sarah, Kayla's parents. They treated you better at the door than some people who share your last name. He nodded. Okay then. I'm okay if we don't see the other ones. Something in my chest unclenched. Behind us, his framed drawing caught the last light. The 3 little figures on the deck looked like they were waving. I looked at the empty chairs and realized I didn't need to fill them. I wrapped my arms around my kid, feeling his solid weight, the quiet proof I was finally getting at least one thing right. What about you? Have you ever had to draw a hard line with family over what you own, or even just what you're owed? Do you think I went too far, or was it long overdue? Let me know in the comments below.